there, lovely good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchtime Cafe right here on Camnet TV. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Joe Smata. I'll be with you for the next 1 hour. We have nothing but the best for you in current affairs. One of them is that Patriotic Front Vice President faction leader, or Vice President in the other faction, Mr. Given Lubinda, has been acquitted of all charges. Now, you do remember, dear viewers, that this is a case in which Mr. Given Lubinda was sued for on 4 counts of possessing properties alleged to have been proceeds of crime, as the prosecution failed to prove the case against him. Now we do have our court reporter, Nelson Zulu, who is at the court premises, and he is going to give us an update on what has actually transpired. Nelson, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Joe. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Nelson. Landmark decision has been reached where Patriotic Front faction Vice President Mr. Given Lubinda has been acquitted of 4 counts of corruption charges. Please bring us up to speed, Nelson.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Joe. This is a case that really was before the Lusaka Magistrate Court, and the one handling it was visiting resident magistrate in Magistrate Stanford in Wogola, who did acquit the Vice President for the Patriotic Front faction, Given Lubinda, on grounds that, the state or the prosecution or the prosecutors failed to prove the case because there were some important remedies that were not before court. And one of those remedies that the magistrate had raised was the fact that during trial there was testimony coming through from the state witnesses that Mr. Lubinda was actually involved in this corrupt activity, simply because there was also an MOU at the time when he was Minister of Agriculture, but this MOU was not presented before court, and the state prosecutors relied on evidence that was in form of an article that had been written by a journalist from a named newspaper company, and that was something that the court questioned and to some extent was not proved, which also led to now the court also settling in on looking at the other issue, which was in this regard, whether or not the accused person executed the said MOU corruptly or not. And then it was ruled that Mr. Lubinda in this case did not execute the MOU corruptly because it was not presented before court, prompting the magistrate court this morning to also rely on that as one thing that they did to ensure that they acquit the former justice minister, who is now currently vice president for the PF faction. Now, interestingly so, the 4 counts, if you may wish to know, is that in count 1, allegations are that Mr. Lubinda on March 3rd, 2018, received about $50 million from China up with the Cotton Limited property, which were reasonably suspected of being a proceeds of crime. And in the third as well as the 4th count, it was alleged that between February 2nd, 2019, Mr. Lubinda also received about $100,000, and on December 23rd, 2019, he also received about $80,000 from a cotton industrial company that is based in Hong Kong. Now, all these issues, according to the magistrates, they were not actually determined or brought before court to ensure that they provide evidence of how or if really these funds were actually proceeds of crime or not. And then there was also a bone of contention during the trial that how was these funds able to be transferred in Mr. Lubinda's company, if indeed he was claiming that these funds were supposed to come through his company, which is Hive Management Company. Mr. Lubinda did mention that there was a loan facility that was put up altogether to ensure that these issues relating to the funds are actually looked at. But interestingly so, the court ruled that, look, the company didn't have a United States dollar account. As a result, funds were channeled to Mr. Luwinda. Now, an instance which led to the state or the prosecutors also failing to determine whether those funds were proceeds of crime or not.
Okay. Now, in the second count, Nelson.
Yes.
That's the first count, but in the second count, he has been acquitted on 4 counts. In the first count, you have detailed to us what it simply what that count contained, or what he was accused or sued on. But what about these other 3 remaining counts? What were the charges leveled against him?
So from 3 to the 4th count, Joe, allegations were that on the 2nd of February 2019, Mr. Luwinda received $100,000 and on December 23rd, 2019, received about $80,000 from a Chinese cotton industrial company that is based in Hong Kong, and these funds were alleged to have been properties being of proceeds of crime.
Okay.
Yes. But when all those issues were brought before court, the court was looking at a remedy that indeed would have ensured that Mr. Luwinda proves his case, or the state proves their case, of which in this regard the state failed to prove their case because we were not able to determine before court how the said funds were proceeds of crime, because Mr. Luwinda did mention before court that, look, these funds were actually a loan facility which were repaid at a particular time.
Okay. So, Nelson, you are telling my viewers and the nation at large that the state prosecutors in their entirety failed to prove that the vice president of the PF faction, Honorable Given Luwinda, the allegations that were leveled against him, the state has failed to prove its case.
It is exactly that way, Joe. It is exactly that way, Joe. And if you remember at the time Mr. Luwinda was arrested over this issue, he was very categorical in our court, where he said he was ready to take them on. If anything, he had requested to be taken to court on the same day he was arrested.
Okay. Does this vindicate the judiciary that indeed the judiciary system in Zambia is independent, seeing that they have made such a landmark decision where most political players thought and were waiting for the vice president of the PF faction to be convicted on those 4 counts?
Joe, if you ask me, I would definitely say that, in my opinion, and quote me right, in my opinion,
okay,
I feel this precedent that the courts of law in Zambia are independent. Reason being that this is a week that has been filled with a lot of mixed reactions, especially that we've seen a huge amount being forfeited to the state in relation to the former first family, where we saw Chesolungu, daughter to former President Lalungu, forfeit about 9.3 million kwacha to the state in form of property. So that tells you something to say, if there's such a landmark decision that has been made, it also entails that it's not entirely, as people might allege, that there's political persecution, but this shows or indicates that courts are independent when it comes to this process.
Okay. Nelson, any further addition you'd like to give us before we let you go?
In terms of maybe the court updates that we can give as of this afternoon is that also one case that is coming up that is of really prominence and what people really want to follow on is the fact that the former Ministry of Finance Assistant Director in Mildred Kasase and Madiba Zulu, the son, who are alleged to have murdered their husband, they are appearing before the Lusaka High Court this afternoon, and we saw testimony coming from some doctors that were at the time from Italian hospital. I must make mention that at the time attended to Mr. Alex Madiba Zulu, the late testify that, look, when Mr. Zulu was brought before the hospital, they didn't see any sort of fractures that were indicating that there was some sort of assault or not. But we await to see how this case is going to unfold, because we also expectant to see state pathologists testifying in this matter.
Okay, fantastic, Nelson, and we rely on you to give us more updates regarding matters that have to do with our local courts right here in Zambia. Thank you so much, Nelson.
Yes, even before we go, I think also an issue that is of interest is that this morning also we did see the Constitutional Court sit in a panel of 11 judges to adjudicate over the matter involving 9 members of parliament that were expelled from the party, allegedly expelled, rather, I should make mention of put it on record, by the PF-led faction, by Mao Stampa and the Secretary General, Mr. Morgan Mona. So we did see this case come before the Constitutional Court, where now the states are actually applying that, look, this case must be dismissed because it is brought before court not on grounds that the country's constitution was breached, but the political party's constitution was breached. So we did see a panel of these 11 judges settled for 27th of June 2024 as day where they are going to rule on this particular issue. You should remember some time back, late last year in December, we saw about nine members of parliament or Patriotic Front senior officials being expelled by the Mao Stampa-led faction.
Okay, Nelson, thank you so much for giving us that update.
Most welcome, Joe. Thank you.
Okay, so there you have, viewers. That was our court reporter Nelson Zulu giving us an update on what is currently happening at our courts of law. Of course, the landmark decision that has been reached where faction vice president of the Patriotic Front, Honorable Given Luwinda, has been acquitted on 4 counts of possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. Now that will be the talk of the town this particular day, which is the 18th of April 2024. Now let's move on and see what is happening or trending, or what are the headlines in our newspapers this afternoon. We start with an indigenous tabloid, the News Diggers, and the News Diggers comes up with a headline that reads, I'm available for President Sangwa. Now, if Zambians think I can make a difference, so that's the News Diggers displayed on your TV screen right there, with a screaming headline in black, which reads, I'm available for President Sangwa. If Zambians think I can make a difference. Now, you do remember, dear viewers, that Learned Counsel John Sangwa, obviously, he has been vocal when it comes to matters of constitutionalism. He was also vocal pre-2021 when he challenged the eligibility of former President Edgar Chagwa Lungu. He was vocal when it came to that particular matter, whether the former head of state was eligible to contest the 2021 general elections. And recently, on one of the platforms where he was featured, he was quoted as saying that the Mopani deal or sale, also he expressed concern regarding following the constitution. So he says, if the Zambian people think that Counsel John Sangwa can make a difference as a head of state, he is available to serve the Zambian people. And subsidiary headlines on the Diggers itself read, and I quote, let's go to the News Diggers once again. We look at the accompanying headlines, where the Anti-Corruption Commission, ACC, commissioner reported to LAS for squandering clients 2 million kwacha. Okay, let's have that newspaper displayed on the TV screen. ACC commissioner reported to LAS for squandering clients 2 million kwacha. So those are follow-up headlines on the news diggers. It's there on your TV screen. Then also, students stage protest against Lungu. Now, obviously, this is a story that took place yesterday where students from two universities that were seen marooned at the Lusaka High Court yesterday to obviously chant anti-Lungu slogans, and according to them, they went to give solidarity to their Students' Council chairperson, Chizombe, Mr. Chizombe, who is suing or challenging the eligibility of former President Edgar Lungu in the 2021 general elections. We are following this story keenly and we are waiting to see the outcome. It was adjourned to June 9th this particular year. One of the accompanying headlines is that there is no law which stops Chinese owning land in Zambia, Kapata. Okay, we can now move on to another headline. Let's go to another tabloid that is indigenously owned, obviously. We are talking about The Mast, where it goes with a headline that reads, Nawakwi is intelligent and beautiful. If any man will agree with me on this one, except cowards and shy people, Hamukali. Nawakwi is intelligent and beautiful. Any man will agree with me on this one, except cowards and shy people, Hamukali. Okay, okay. Interesting headline there. Then we also have another headline, accompanying headline rather, where Zambians tend to forget quickly, notes President Hakainde Hichilema. Zambia tends to forget quickly, notes President Hakainde Hichilema. Do you agree? What do you think about this particular statement? The phone lines, of course, are ever open for you, the viewer, to come through and give your own submission regarding these particular stories that we have highlighted to you. Still on The Mast, tabloid, HH won't survive it. HH won't survive it. 20 months from now, he will be taught a lesson. Calabar. Now that is coming from opposition citizen first leader, Honorable Harry Calabar, who says President Hakainde Hichilema won't survive it. 20 months from now, he will be taught a lesson. Obviously, he is referring to the 2026 general elections, and according to the political calendar, we only have 1 year, 6 months to the general elections, and I'm sure that's what the opposition leader, Mr. Harry Calabar, is referring to, that President Hakainde Hichilema will be taught a lesson come 2026. Do you agree? We wait upon to hear from you. You can come through on the numbers that are displayed on your TV screen, and also you can interact with us via our Facebook page. Search for Camnet TV, leave a comment or drop us a comment, and let's engage in this particular discourse. We go to the broadsheet, indigenous, obviously newspaper, the broadsheet, the Zambia Daily Mail, where it goes with the headline, No Enjoyment for Looters. Okay, now DEC, DPP, let me read this clearly, it's there on your TV screen. No enjoyment for looters. DEC, DPP, resolute on prosecuting and recovering assets obtained through illicit means. Another follow-up headline, help deal with drought, HH ages researchers. On your right, Siavonga to have 845 million United States dollar or dollars fertilizer plant. Okay, another follow-up headline, ZCMIH earns 1.2 billion royalties from FQM. Obviously, that's First Quantum Minerals. Then Mongu lodging up by 300%. Obviously, this lodging is facilitated by the upcoming traditional ceremony, the Komboka of the Lozi people in the flood plains. Now, this particular story is interesting in itself. We have had youths, it is in public domain, that have indicated that the guest of honor for the Kuomboka ceremony is Paramount Chief Chitimukulu Kanyantamanga, two of the Bemba speaking people. Now this is being done because obviously last year the king Litunga of the Lozi speaking people of the floodplains was invited to grace the Kusefia Pangwena, and he is returning the gesture. Now here's the interesting thing. President Hakainde Hichilema also will be in Western Province this Saturday. Now, according to a write-up, I can't call it a statement, to a write-up by State House Chief Communications Officer, I hope that's his right title, but let me look for his right, okay. Chief Communications Specialist, not officer, I beg your pardon. According to State House Chief Communications Specialist, so you can see in that, before I come to this story, you can see in that picture, obviously, the two royalties, the King Litunga on the right, then also Paramount Chief Chitimukulu on the left. That was during the Kusefia Pangwena last year, and obviously this year, this Saturday, they are meeting again, strengthening tradition bonds and ties as traditional leaders. But again, in that run over, you are able to see that there's a name on top there reading, my producers and I monitored this from this particular Facebook write-up by Mr. Clayson Hamasaka, Chief Communication Specialist, State House, 18th April 2024, with a heading, President Hichilema at the Kuomboka ceremony. Now, in part it reads, dear viewers, we wish to clarify once again President Hakainde Hichilema's attendance at the Kuomboka ceremony this Saturday. Following various accounts circulating on various media platforms, President Hichilema is fully aware of invitation of His Royal Highness Paramount Chief Chitimukulu as the guest of honor at this year's Kuomboka ceremony. This invitation is reciprocal gesture following last year's invitation of King Lubosi Muiko to as the guest of honor of the Kusefia Pangwena ceremony in Northern Province, which President Hichilema fully supported. So that particular write-up reads in part, we have searched state-owned institutions or media house to see whether that particular write-up is there, but unfortunately we haven't found it on any major state-owned institution or media house. So we'll consider it as a write-up on the Chief Communication Specialist State House page, and it has been shared widely. So I hope, and we hope this is the position of government on this particular matter. Yesterday, Honorable Cornelius Mwatwa did have a press briefing. When he was asked this question, he said the guest of honor at this year's Kuomboka ceremony will be former President Hakainde Hichilema, and there was speculation, obviously unconfirmed reports, suggesting that the visit of Paramount Chief Chitimukulu of the Bemba speaking people have been suspended. But we have this write-up on Mr. Clayson Hamasaka's page, who is the State House Chief Communication Specialist, which reads that President Hakainde Hichilema will attend the Kuomboka ceremony as an enthusiast of traditions and a supporter of the Kuomboka ceremony, which he did also in opposition, and this time he will be doing it. And this is the first time Zambia is having to, let me talk about the Kuomboka ceremony. This is the first time where a guest of honor is invited, then maybe the head of state also comes as a mere visitor or just come and be part of the Kuomboka ceremony. So let's wait for Saturday and see how this event will pan out as we wait for one of Africa's biggest showpieces in terms of traditions, which is going to happen this Saturday in Western Province of Mongo, Rialui, and Mulunga, of course. So let's wait and see what will happen. And I have made it clear here that we observed State House Facebook page. We also observed the president's official Facebook page. This particular write-up is not there. It's only on Mr. Clayson Hamasaka's Facebook page. So there you have it, viewers. We thought we should be able to update you on matters that are of national interest, especially bordering on our traditional leadership. Now, moving on, let's go to another statement that ZESCO has issued, and this one contains, obviously, members of the public that are based on the Copper Belt. Now, it reads, loss of power supply to some areas in Kitwe. There you have it. ZESCO Limited regrets the loss of power supply to Mindolo North, Mindolo West, Mindolo Clinic, and Mindolo Economical Foundation that occurred on Wednesday, 17th April 2024 at 17:31 hours due to a cable fault. Now, there's also the schedule. Now, do remember, dear viewers, why we are bringing this to your attention is because not so long ago, Chief Government Spokesperson and Minister of Information and Media, Honorable Cornelius Mwetwa, did appeal to ZESCO to cut short the hours, that 8 hours was just too much. Can they be able to reduce the hours so that members of the public shouldn't be inconvenienced like they are being inconvenienced currently? And we saw ZESCO coming up with a staggered load shedding schedule. They called it staggered load shedding schedule that they started implementing. Fast forward, Lusaka residents are now subjected to 8 hours of load shedding. 8 hours, no power. Those that are in the salon business, meaning for 8 hours, they won't be able to work. Those that are in the barbershop business, it means that they won't be able to work for 8 hours because there's no power. Welders as well, it means they won't be able to work because there's no power. So they have reverted back to the 8-hour load shedding schedule, and obviously here it is, right, the same timetable or schedule that we showed you earlier, dear viewer. Now we're trying to find out and strike the balance. The minister appealed to ZESCO to reduce on the hours. However, ZESCO has gone ahead to continue with 8 hours of load shedding, and there are reports suggesting that these hours might continue to increase as we move on towards October, because we know during the summer, during the hot season, that's when the Kariba is said to be drying up at a fast rate. So we are waiting to see what will transpire as we approach the summer or hot season. Okay, now moving on, let's go to another story where Zambia has made headlines, obviously, in the Deutsche Welle Africa. Now that's DWTV Africa, where President Hakainde Hichilema has been quoted. Now it reads, Zambian President Hakainde Hichilema has officially handed over 51% of a major copper mining company, Mopani, to a Middle East company. This comes 3 years after the previous government repossessed it from previous owners, Swiss-based Glencore PLC and Canada-based First Quantum Minerals Limited. Now, Mopani Copper Mines PLC encompasses the full range of the copper production chain, making it key in Zambia's mining industry. Meanwhile, in a nationwide address, Hichilema said that his country urgently requires 23.5 billion kwacha, which translates to 937 million or 937 million United States dollars, to effectively implement immediate life-saving and sustaining humanitarian and recovery needs given the prevailing severe drought. Now, obviously, this particular story also covers what took place, was it the day before yesterday, when the president had an address to the nation, or a nationwide address, where he talked about the severity of the drought that is upon us. And we are told that every after 10 years Zambia experiences the drought. Now, in one of our indigenous newspapers, the president has called for researchers. He has called for researchers to help with drought. Ages researchers. Now, we are aware that mid last year, researchers themselves and technocrats did caution that there was a looming drought coming through, and office bearers, government was urged to prepare adequately for this particular drought. However, your guess is as good as mine. We are here now experiencing the drought, and obviously the president is urging researchers to help with the drought, and also calling for 23.5 billion kwacha to effectively implement immediate life-saving and sustaining humanitarian and recovery needs given the prevailing severe drought. Now, obviously, this is according to Deutsche Welle Africa, or DWTV Africa, where this story was monitored by, of course, yours truly, the Lunchtime Cafe team, right here on Camnet TV. But for now, the media has been cautioned by the Minister of Information and Media and Chief Government Spokesperson, Honorable Cornelius Moitwa, and this has to do with an image that has gone viral where the head of state, President Hakainde Hichilema, was seen commissioning a toilet. That's the image right there of a toilet that President Hakainde Hichilema was commissioning on the Copper Belt. Now, there have been different theories regarding this particular commissioning of this particular toilet in Kwacha constituency on the Copper Belt. And you do remember, viewers, that you, our dear viewers, obviously make your judgments based on perceptions and not assumptions. And now what is coming through is that the president was commissioning 1,600 units, okay, of such nature. That image you are seeing, 1,600 toilets were being commissioned in Kwacha constituency. The question that we ask in the media is obviously to give you a balanced and more detailed explanation as our viewers out there, so that you don't get misinformed or get half-baked information. The question that we'd like to ask, because we have seen this on different social media platforms, and we have seen this obviously on some of the UPND pages, that it was 1,600 units that the president commissioned. Those toilets were 1,600. The question that we ask is, where were they being commissioned? That's one. We are being told it's Kwacha constituency, but we only saw one toilet. So where are the rest? Where are the images to show that 1,600 toilets were being commissioned? The UPND in government obviously has got state media on its end. We didn't see that on state media. We didn't see that on their pages to show us that it was 1,600 units. The public makes their judgment based on perception. What you show them, that's when they'll make their decision, not on assumptions. We can't guess. Even us in the media, it's hard for us to find out whether 1,600 toilets were commissioned, because at the end of the day, viewers, when we reach out to law bearers, officials in the UPND, ministers, to come through and explain and tell us, they tell us they're busy, they tell us they're traveling, they tell us they're in South Africa, they tell us they're in Turkey. So it's hard to get information from the media, and the president himself did acknowledge that yes, one of the mistakes that the UPND has made since they came into government, and this was revealed during his press conference on 28 December 2023, that it's the lack of effective, efficient communication to the general public to know what this government is doing. During the commissioning of the Anderson Kambera Mazoka Secretariat, the president said it. The UPND media team and together with the UPND officials need to concentrate on what the UPND is doing and highlight their achievements to the general public. However, we do not see this happening. We are now in April. We are still waiting for effective communication to come through. Latest on the agenda is the issue that has to do with the Komboka. It is a serious issue. However, a write-up has been shared on Chief Communications Specialist at State House on his Facebook page. It's not on the State House page. It's not on the President's official Facebook page. It's not on any prominent state media institution. So the public is left to speculation, and there is the information gap. But for now, let's go on this particular clip where Chief Government Spokesperson and Information and Media Minister, Mr. Cornelius Mwetwa, was cautioning the media regarding their reporting, especially on the toilets on the Copper Belt. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
With a sense of shock, because when His Excellency the President in 2022 during the by-elections in Kwacha made those public pronouncements that due to the deplorable state of sanitation in old Kwacha constituency, and given the rising occurrences of cholera, it was imperative to begin to upgrade some of these residential areas in the like manner that now the government is earmarking upgrading of parts of Lusaka, starting with Kanyama, in order to respond to the challenge of sanitation and cholera. That now some people can say the president went to commission a single toilet. As a government, we would like to urge the opposition to come up with material and substantial issues that they would like to engage this government on. That is what we would like to request, and on that score, we can engage to make progress.
Okay, Information and Media Minister there, Honorable Cornelius Mwetwa, who also happens to be the Chief Government Spokesperson and also Choma Central Member of Parliament, giving clarity that the President didn't go to commission one unplastered toilet, but he commissioned 1,600 toilets. But the question is, where are they? The public needs to know. They need to see them to prove that really these toilets were 1,600. We only saw one toilet being commissioned. So that's the question that the public is asking, and us in the media, we have reached out obviously to those that walk in the corridors of power in the form of minister, member of parliament, to come and be able to give us detailed explanations regarding the issue that has to do with the commissioning of toilets. And obviously our efforts have proved futile. Now moving on, in other reports, obviously right now it has gone viral on Facebook and obviously on different social media platforms that Mwinelu Wemba, the paramount chief chitumukulu of the Bemba speaking people, was leaving today, and he had a short briefing where he was thanking the people of the floodplains for having invited him to come through to the Kwamboka ceremony and be guest of honor at this year's Kwamboka ceremony. He says he's looking forward to the ceremony. That clip has gone viral. Due to time, we can't play it. We need to go. But allow me to thank our viewers quickly on our Facebook page. Mr. Isaac Mambo, Mr. Given Mukabanga, Chanda GM, Isaac Chileshe, Vachileshe from Garden, thank you so much. Obino Bulungu, Kopi Kahilu, Joseph Mututubanya, Nawa Kavafwandi, okay, Nawa Kuba Kwandi, okay, Kufa Kwandi, okay, James Mwape, Mofa D. King, Sandy Pritingoma, Honest Kalewe, Mr. Nawa, I hope I pronounced that name correctly, my brother. Pardon me if I've mixed my tongue. Mr. Joseph Ngoma as well, he's saying we are waiting for his party to lose elections so that he can explain this. Okay, Mr. Joseph Ngoma there. Mr. Isaac Chileshe comes through and says, I don't think the claim by our brothers from Barotsi land, so-called youth activists, the president is going to get the guest of ownership. It has been clarified by Mr. Clayson Hamasaka on his Facebook page that the president is going there as a traditional enthusiast, as one of the citizens of Zambia to attend the Kwamboka ceremony, not as a guest of honor, because the guest of honor is Paramount Chief Chitimukulu of the Bemba speaking people, Mwinelu Wemba. Okay, so Mr. Isaac Chileshe, hope that is clear. Royd Malambo, exactly, he will be a lesson. It's Uka Chabe. Okay, that's Royd. Kanini Shkapaya says, okay, he always comes up with this plight. Mr. Kanini will definitely explain why that question that you're asking will definitely explain to you. However, let me thank you more sincerely, dear viewers, the major stakeholders in this particular program. Thank you so much for choosing us amongst many. We need to go. And on behalf of the entire production team, obviously my director, Mr. Elijah Chifita, and the entire production team, I have been your host, including Nelson Zulu, our court reporter. I have been your host, Joe Smarter is my name. We'll see you when you see us. Keep it Camnet. Remember, not just another channel. Good afternoon.